Well, hello, Jakov, and thank you so much for doing this YouTube interview on my channel about your experience with taking the CFA Level 2 and passing the exam. So congratulations on that. Before we start the conversation, do you want to tell us a little bit about who you are, what you do, where you live, and when did you start your journey with the CFA?
Of course. Thank you, and thank you for having me. So about myself, I'm currently a senior associate at a SaaS business called JWP, now JWP, where I focus within the revenue operations department in ad solutions, meaning that we operate a programmatic solutions for advertisers. Academically, I hold a bachelor's degree and a master's degree in finance. And to be honest, I planned to start my CFA journey back in bachelor's, but unfortunately, it was late in my master's that I started it and passed CFA Level 1. With CFA Level 2 being passed in May 2024, the May 2024 seating, which we got the results, I think, one or 2 months ago.
Nice. And when did you start? When did you write your CFA Level 1 exam?
Level 1, it was during my second year in master's.
Okay, gotcha.
Exactly.
Well, today the interview will be mainly focused around the topic of the CFA Level 2 exam. I think it's something that people would like to hear more about, since a lot of people say it's the hardest of the 3 levels, and I think it's nice to hear from someone who just passed the exam more about the tips and tricks on how to pass the exam. So my first question for you is, what study resources did you find most effective when you took the CFA Level 2 exam?
Okay, yeah. So the main focus was the CFA readings, so the ones that are supplied when you register for the exam. For Level 1, I did try to use alternative resources, which I didn't use for Level 2, since it all depends of what kind of learner you are. For myself, I do tend to learn more and better and faster when I read. So when I have the book in front of me, when I'm able to read through the materials and understand them myself. But what I've seen that other people have been doing is also looking into other resources such as videos and short listings of what the CFA material is. And I think the biggest part that played was the planning that I did myself during the CFA and how I optimized the readings through that transfer from Level 1 to Level 2.
So you strictly focus on the materials provided by the CFA Institute, and you just read the materials basically.
Exactly, and did the question bank. So everything that is supplied by the CFA, I did it only through their platform and their readings. And again, this is not something that is written in stone. It depends of what kind of person you are, how much time you have. Again, it's time dependency. Do you have more time? This is connected to work, to university, whatever it is. Or do you have less of it? So it depends again. Time, what kind of learner you are, and what you want to focus on, and how fast you want to pass all those three levels.
How many months did you put in when you were studying for the CFA Level 2 exam?
Level 2 for me was a bit different when studying for Level 1. Level 1, I did about 3-4 months of studying. They were more focused. I was still in university. For Level 2, I was back in the workforce. I had less time. I devoted 6 months with not optimizing my time well. So those last 2 months were kind of crammed in, kind of stressful before the exam, since it's a notion that usually it is the harder exam. And I kept thinking, if I didn't put as much time as Level 1, it's harder. So what happens in Level 2? But as long as you stay your course, as long as you stay up to plan, I think success is inevitable. And
did you study, since you said you went back to workforce, did you study like right after office hours? Like, did you study right after work?
Yes.
Did you study mostly on the weekend? How did you organize your time?
I did 2 to 3 hours after work. So any hours after work, 2 to 3 hours. And over the weekends, I used to do up to 5 to 6, especially by the end of my prep.
Gotcha. Okay. So my next question is, what were the most challenging topics for you, and how did you overcome these hurdles or difficulties?
Yeah, I wouldn't say it's one topic. I will note one which was new to me, and it's new, I think, to all CFA candidates, and that's the ethics part. So, we're not mostly used to, memorizing and understanding that type of content. So for me, it took, especially for level 1, because it takes, much more to kind of get into it and understand it and start understanding why it's structured like that, what is the code of standards, why we need to know it, why it's important to us, and how we apply it. So I think that is one topic that I focused most on in level 1, and I think it was less than level 2 because you have the base already set up when you pass level 1.
So for ethics, did you again focus on the problems that were given to you by the institute, like the one on the website, like the one in the curriculum, or did you take another approach?
No. So it was a strict, top-down approach, looking at the reading all of them, highlighting, understanding, keeping as much as time as possible on them, and then switching back to the practice exams within the CFA platform and going over them. And it's a big mention that I managed to do a lot more practice for level 1 than for level 2 because of time. I managed it, much more poorly than level 1 because of work-related things. So I think as long as you can stick again to the plan, success in it is inevitable, and you reduce the stress that you have before the exam.
Yeah, and for level 2, did you, because you just did the exam, did they change much on the structure of the program itself? Because I know they have done some changes as of this year, if I'm not mistaken, or as of last year. Were you part of those changes? They introduced pathways. I don't know if it was for level 2 or if it was for level 3. I think it's for level 3 that they have introduced the changes. I don't remember for level 2.
Yes. The only thing that I can mention for the changes is the practical modules. So they introduced practical modules. It's public, so they stated, which I do find very beneficial. Especially if you, even if you're not a seasoned professional, even if you are a seasoned professional, you find them useful. So it was something that was new to the CFA Institute, and I think that the track was introduced for level 3, but I may be wrong. If there are any updates, I'm unaware of them, and I will refrain from going that course.
Yeah, and if you can expand a little bit more on the practical modules you said, where are they exactly? Because it was not when I've done the CFA level 2, it wasn't like that. So maybe if you can expand a little bit on what it means and what it is exactly.
Yeah, so it was analytical skills and Python and machine learning for investment professionals. You have to choose one, and you have to pass at least one. It's within the CFA platform itself before you can get your CFA, for me, level 2 exam. Me personally, I went the route for the analytical skills. Again, extremely beneficial. It was something that I was not exposed to before, starting it. So it was very interesting for me to see, and very new to what I'm used to looking at and used to learning about.
Yeah.
And it was very beneficial, and I was actually able to apply it at the get-go after finishing level 2. Yeah.
Okay, it's not something that you're tested on the exam. It's just separate, basically, right?
Exactly. It's supplementary.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
So that brings me to my next question. Well, I wanted to ask a little bit more about your time management, but I think you already answered that question, where you said that you study 3 to 4 hours after work, and then you dedicated more time during the weekend. So I'm gonna ask you more, if you could share tips on how to best retain information, because there's a lot of information on level 2, and you also said you did not have enough time compared to level 1. So how did you manage, how do you best study for the exam?
Yeah, so I always like to plan, and what I did for both exams, and what I think was the pillar stone of the success that I managed to pass from the first try, is I organized, let's say, a model where I subjectively rank my knowledge for each topic. And in my case, I did it based on percentage. For example, if I'm not sure that I understand the topic, if I'm very strong at the topic, it's about 75. If it's strong, it's 90 above. I did that for each topic, going through the reading materials, and I went back to the worst performing topics. So basically, it was a plan on understanding what I'm good at and getting better at what I'm bad at. And in order to retain that information, I did basically a circular movement between all topics. So I would do, 20 questions on topics that I thought that I didn't understand clearly, and I would do 10 from my strengths, basically. And that kept me in line of still retaining knowledge from the things that I wasn't doing day by day, which is the high strengths within my time frame, and focusing on the weaknesses, which is basically delving into topics, delving into readings that I quite didn't understand and wanted to get better at.
And where did you do your what did you do to practice the mock exams?
It's two parts. So if the readings already have questions, we also have questions. For mock exams, I always try to do them about 2 to 3 weeks before the exam.
Okay.
And those were my biggest basically KPI, meaning that I would look at exam 1. I wanted to understand what I'm good at, what I'm bad at. I would rank it and input it into the model that I have for my learning timeline, just to look at what is the benchmark of success that I think is important. And then I would try to re-improve again based on for the second mock exam. And then for the second mock exam, again, I look at the same, and then I only focus on the test questions, on the questions that are in the question bank, only on those modules before the exam.
Okay.
And I think that was the biggest benefit I had, that I kept focusing what are basically differentiating what are my strengths, what are my weaknesses. If you keep doing that, I think you will have a linear improving line before doing the exam.
Yeah, I do think it's important to focus on your weakness and try to improve as much as you can. It was also a strategy that I took as well when I was studying for the exams. I would, practice my weakness and see how I could get better. And since you mentioned at the beginning that you went back to the workforce, did you take time off, a week before the exam, a month before the exam, or you just continued until the day of the exam? You just continued working?
Yes, so I'm very fortunate. I've had very good mentors, especially at the company currently I'm working in. The company is very oriented in terms of work-life balance, and they're very supportive within upscaling your skills or bettering yourself professionally. So we do have a day off before an exam, but I didn't take much days off, pre the date of the exam, meaning that I think for level 2 especially, I took 5 days before exam because I was a bit more stressed than usual, since I didn't think that I prepared enough for the exam. So I took 5 days, plus that 1 day, and then it came exam day. I was as prepared as possible, and fortunately, that hard work and those hours put in paid off.
Yeah, gotcha. So this brings me to my last question, which is for anyone who wants to start on their journey with the CFA, what advice would you give in relation to exam strategy and preparation? We already talked about most of them, but is there anything else that you wanted to add in that concern?
I would just add that it's a long way. It's a lot of information, and it's a long way. So you're gonna have bad days, you're gonna have good days. It's important to keep on track. It's gonna be days that you definitely don't want to do anything. Definitely. Yeah, definitely. It's good to have some of those days. You label them. That those are days off. But again, it's important to keep track and at least finish 90-80% of that plan that you set out, to be confident enough that you will pass the exam.
Yeah, definitely. Well, Jakov, this is all for the interview. But before we go, I do have 5 rapid fire questions for you, which I didn't tell you about earlier. Are you ready?
Perfect. Yes.
I don't want you to expand on the answers. There are 5 rapid fire questions, so whatever comes to your mind, just say it. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
So the first question is, A book you could read over and over again.
A book you can read over and over again. I am a big Henry Kissinger fan in terms of his work, so I keep reading his Diplomacy, since I also have a focus, on political analysis. So I would say that. Any classics? I will stick to that. I will stick to my technical books since I like them a lot. And Intelligent Investor, for anybody who hasn't read it and is new to the investing and financial game.
Good. Second question, what's in your bucket list?
Bucket list is honestly visiting Japan. So I've had a lot of friends that visited Japan this year. So and I keep seeing, the beautiful landscapes and their beautiful culture. So the biggest bucket list is visiting Japan as soon as possible. Yeah,
it has been a very popular destination this year, because me too, every time I open my social, I see people just being in Japan. I'm the only one who has not been there, so I guess
I think it's the same. It's a trend.
Exactly. Third question, your favorite app on the phone?
My favorite app on the phone. So I'm a young person. I tend to go through Reels. I tend to go to binge. Yeah, I tend to binge. But apart from that, I invest through IBKR, Interactive Brokers. So I think that's my favorite app to go to and check what's happening with the portfolio and markets.
Sounds good. Your favorite mantra?
My favorite mantra, I would say, love what you do, not do what you love.
Like that. Yeah. And last question, best piece of advice you have ever received?
Best piece of advice, I think, time heals everything, and give it time.
Nice.
I think those two things. Time is everything. Yeah.
Nice. Well, Jakov, thank you so much for coming to my YouTube channel today. Before we go, do you want to tell us how people can connect with you?
Yes. So I am active on LinkedIn. I'm active on all social media. I'm always open. I'm sure I accept all connections. So to everybody, feel free to connect. And I'm very eager to message everybody and eager to speak with anybody. I'm very communicative, so don't be shy in texting me.
All right. Well, thank you so much, Jakov. Take care. Bye.
Thank you as well. Thank you. All the best. Bye.